to say hi to everyone, even if they're not part of this wedding. I am Lori's younger brother by about 5.5 years, and I need to clarify that because people often confuse me for the older brother, or her boyfriend. For those of you that have only met Lori recently within the last year or so, just want to let you know, Lori is the female version of Benjamin Button. So she looks 10 years younger now than she did at her sweet 16. And I guess if the trend continues at this rate, she will finally have her angsty teenage years when you guys are celebrating your 5-year anniversary. Lori and I have had this running joke for years that she has been there for the top 5 worst moments of our lives, both of us. And I figured there was no better time to recount them than right here, right now, on her wedding day. Not to rib her, but just to see how they might help you, Pete, as you guys embark on your lifelong adventure together. Number 1. The infamous turkey trot. Those words will still cause tremendous hardship for Lori and I for years. For those of you who don't know, the turkey trot is a 5-mile run around Prospect Park the morning of Thanksgiving. She said it would be easy. Even for someone like me who has the tendency to fall down when my pace goes above a brisk walk. Of course, it was not easy, and I panted and heaved while Lori ran circles around me yelling, "Come on, you can do this, push harder, push harder." After stopping about 30 times with a few 80-year-olds passing us, and me yelling, "Go on without me," she wouldn't leave me. That's the way she is. We finally made it across the finish line. Quick funny note, there were some trackers on our shoes that actually told us when we crossed the finish line, and I actually ended up beating Lori by about 0.1 seconds. So the lesson here, and as our Monopoly battles will tell me, have suggested to me, you both have a very competitive spirit. It's pretty hilarious to watch both of you scream at each other over some Monopoly money and negotiated property deals. Sometimes the journey is a little more fun than the finish line, and this is the first time I've ever admitted this, but I'm glad I did that run with Lori. Although I'd never do it again. It was an experience we shared together and we will probably never forget. I'm not done, too. Our hike in Bear Mountain. Lori and I took a drive up to Bear Mountain right before I was going to Boston for my freshman year of college. She knew I was nervous, and in typical fashion, offered to go on an adventure with me and take my mind off things. And get some bro sis time. We both love hiking, 2 kids born and raised in Brooklyn, and are not really the best out there on the trails. We were hiking for a few miles up the mountain when we started to see trees marked with these big red X's. We discussed and decided these big red X's must mean danger. And we went a different direction every single time we saw the trees with the red X's. Pretty soon, we were in a part of the mountain with absolutely no paths and no way to get down without jumping from cliff to cliff and climbing down slippery rocks. We finally realized that the red X's were actually just the red trail. No changes about them. Now the lesson here, Pete. Sometimes it's okay and even more memorable to forge your own path. Who knows? You may even end up in the bamboo forest you and Lori so often dream of. The last one. For Lori's birthday a few years ago, we decided to take a drive down to Virginia Beach, an 8-hour drive over a quick weekend trip. Lori's main request here was to go to a Dairy Queen. It's a Kessler favorite, we love it. Somehow we managed to not make it to a single one over the course of the entire 16-hour trip because it was too far off the highway, it was closed, we didn't want ice cream, blah, blah, blah. This is something I have not been able to live down for years. And Pete, you probably know this better than anyone. for the success of your marriage, never, ever deprive Lori of her ice cream. Pete, I first heard about you as the guy from Alaska. Lori would go on and on about her Alaska boyfriend. I tried to imagine what a guy from Alaska would be like. Would he have a lot of knowledge about igloos? Does he have a lot of Eskimo friends? Does he know Sarah Palin? The answer to all three of those are obviously no. I've really gotten to know you, especially over the past year. And Lori seems okay. Watching you take care of my sister during an incredibly difficult time in a way that not many people would. We especially bonded when she was in the hospital. And we went out and filled up a carton full of Minions. Lori loves Minions, in case you didn't know. At Best Buy and Walmart. We were standing there with literally a carton full of Minion stuff for children. And a stranger walked up to us and said, "Oh, how old is she?" And Pete stared at her and goes, reluctantly, 33. All you kept saying the entire time was, if any of these put a smile on her face for even 1 second, then it's worth it. It was then that I knew that you were the right one for her. You are patient, loving, kind. Quit crying. And know that keeping Lori on the chocolate point system is really the only way to keep her in check. I want to welcome you into the family, and I'm really looking forward to having you as a brother. I'm almost done, I promise. Someone once said, and I'm saying someone because I actually forgot the name and the Wi-Fi is a little too expensive to look up. Parents leave too early, spouses come too late. Siblings are the only ones that are there with you for the entire arc of your life. Lori, we've known each other since 1988. We have been partners in crime through absolutely everything, from staying up late watching Are You Afraid of the Dark, to you letting me sleep in your room after we watched it if I got too scared. You were my first concept of what cool was. I looked up to you growing up, and I still do to this day. We know each other better than anyone. You are funny, smart, humble, generous, and fiercely loyal to those you love. And of course, you look absolutely beautiful tonight. I'm so honored to be able to share in this day. I love you both and can't wait to see what the future holds.